Well, it says we're live, and I'll believe it when I see it on my phone. It always takes a minute or two, but hello, everyone. It's nice to be with you. If you're out there, throw me some thumbs up and all of that so I can see on my phone that we're live. And there we are. Yes. Okay, good. Thank you. It's nice to be here. Welcome. It's 4 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock here in Costa Rica, 7 o'clock Eastern, 1 a.m. in Italy, 8:30 and 9:30 a.m. Wednesday morning in Australia, and it's Facebook Live. And we have a guest coming, but who's not here yet, and so he'll pop up pretty soon, and when he does, we'll start with him. But last week, if you were here, I was rambling, and I didn't have a guest, and so I thought, oh, I'm going to be rambling today. That's great. And so I played Zeppelin's song Ramble On in the background. That was fun. And it was a nice session. For those that were here, thanks so much. And it was a lot of fun. I'm looking for today's, and I don't see me on here yet, but it says I'm live, so I'll believe that I'm live. And I'm going to do what any good husband does. Honey, come here, please. And he asked my wife for some help so I can see that we're on the phone and I can see who's out there. Can you find me here, please? That's, I don't know. What can I say? So how's it been this week for you? I guess I'll start by talking a little about this current pandemic that we're in. And some of you have heard, I think most of you have heard, that there's questions about the news that we're getting and what's being emphasized and what's not being emphasized, and what kind of information are we getting. The term that's come out in the last few years is called fake news, but it's much worse than that now. And I just want to point out a study that came out last week from one of my mentors, Professor Yehuda Schonfeld, who I refer to as the godfather of predictive autoimmunity. 28 of the PhD students who received their PhDs in immunology from Professor Schonfeld, there are many more, but 28 of them chair departments of immunology in med schools and hospitals around the world. They're his students. This is the godfather. And he published a paper with 9 other immunologists, 6 of which are heads of their departments in med schools or hospitals. So 10 immunologists published a paper about this current viral epidemic. So we're listening to the geeks of geeks here in this paper. And one of the things they said in the first page that dropped my jaw and put it all in perspective is that the death rate from this current virus is 0.5 to 2% of the people who contract it. 0.5 to 2%. That's not what we're hearing from our authorities and in the newsroom, but these are the chairs of departments of immunology around the world who all got together with no politics, and there was a really geeky article, but they started off with that. So from that perspective, it just makes you think and be cautious about what you're hearing out there. And now that I have my phone, let me just give a couple of shout outs and then I'll introduce our guest. We've got Marilyn in Newfoundland, and Barbie's here. And yes, I'm live. Thank you, Barbie. Patricia's in Alberta, and Barbie's in Dripping Springs, Texas. Wanda's in Long Island. Dorada's in New York City. Dorada and Wanda, you guys are neck and neck every week as to who's first on here. Thank you so much. Terry's in Indiana. Barbie's in Aries. Oh, Marcy's reaction, laughing out loud. Thank you, Barbie. That's cute. Antoinette's here from the coast of Maine. So thank you all for joining. And now let's get down to business here. I'm really excited because we have one of my friends for a repeat here. He was on a Facebook Live a while ago, and Stephen, you're on mute, man. I can see it on my screen that you're on mute. And it's a pleasure to introduce Stephen Ezell to you, my good friend who's in Traverse City, Michigan, and had a vision of how he wanted to change the world. So first, welcome, Stephen.
Good to see you, Tom. I'm glad to be back with you, hanging out with you. You're one of my favorite doctors and thought leaders on the entire planet. So I'm fired up about today, and it's going to be fun.
So let's just quick background history. How did you start the company? Why did you start the company? And then we'll talk about today's topic.
Yeah, so I invested in my parent company in 2012, and the main reason was I was on a eco kind of health journey of my own. A little over a decade ago, I have a 12-year-old son. When he was an infant, broke out in a head-to-toe rash, and that was because he had a really terrible reaction to laundry detergent, and we didn't know that. And again, we went to the doctors, and they want to prescribe all these medicines and pharmaceuticals to find out it was laundry detergent. And that kind of that was like my aha moment. That was like started the quest of, well, if laundry detergent can make my kid sick, like what else is in our house? And that then turned into the laundry room, under the kitchen sink, the garage, the refrigerator, the cabinet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So invested in the company in 2012, tried lots of different things to kind of make our stamp on the world. But 5 years ago, literally last week, we just had our 5-year anniversary. MyGreenFills.com was born, and now we are the fastest growing and one of the largest eco-chemical manufacturers in North America. We have tens of thousands of members all over the world. Over 100,000 people have purchased MyGreenFills.com products around the world. So we have a full non-toxic and refillable replacement for everything in a laundry room, under the kitchen sink, and now, as we're going to show tonight, like on top of the sink, and things like that. So we've been on a quest to really help people remove toxic chemicals and waste from their lives for a long time. And we met you through that journey. My wife was a student of yours when she was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, RA, read your book, watched your documentary years ago, your first documentary, and it changed her life. And then we met, and I'm like, dude, like, you helped my family. Let me tell you the story. So it's been a fun ride, and now I can't believe it's 5 years that MyGreenFills.com is alive and thriving. It's been quite a ride.
That's really marvelous. Something happened for me just now while you were talking, and I had to laugh out loud when you said chemical company, something you said like that.
Yeah, it's like an oxymoron.
Yeah, exactly. And I've never been calm when I hear chemical companies before. But when you said that, I noticed that I didn't cringe. The first time that word didn't cringe inside of me, because I've been using your products. Marzi and I have been using your products now for at least 4 years, maybe 4.5 years. Marzi just asked me, when I was living alone and we were dating, did I ever use the dishwashing stuff? And I said, oh yeah. And the laundry detergents and all of it. And I just feel really comfortable now knowing that the things I'm using are not toxic to me or to the environment. So for those of you where this is a first experience to hear about Stephen and MyGreenFills, I'd recommend you, of course, look at his website. We'll post it here. Yep. But go back to the previous Facebook Live we did, where we talked about a lot of those products. Because today, what we're going to dial down on is the #1 trigger, in my opinion, in the world fueling autoimmune diseases. And you guys have all heard me say before, every disease that I know of is an inflammatory disease. The cells are on fire. At the cellular level, it's always a fire. There's inflammation. So it just depends on the patient. Is it a brain cell or a kidney cell? Is it gasoline or kerosene? But it's always a fire. That's why MyGreenFills is so important in our world, because their things don't fuel the fire. Their laundry detergent, their dishwashing detergent, their window cleaner, their house cleaner, all that stuff that we use around, theirs is not toxic. But the number one trigger for fueling the fire is what's on the end of your fork.
No doubt.
More than anything else, what's on the end of your fork, what we're eating, causes more inflammation and eventually more disease than anything else. So today we're going to talk about how can we clean up our food that we've got access to. If you've got access to organic, that makes it easier. But if you don't have access to organic, what do you do? So, Stephen, with that introduction, let's dance.
Yeah, man. So if you remember from our last Facebook, we've done a few of these now on either of our channels, but I said something that just came out of my mouth the last time we met, the last time we talked on live, and that I've actually repeated many times since then. And people always ask me, like, Stephen, it's so overwhelming, right? Like, where do I go? Like, now that I've had this aha moment, like a doctor said this, or a friend, like you watched a documentary, you read a book, and it's like, all right, where do I start? And I get this question all the time because I think like MyGreenFills is kind of like one of like the gateway drug companies into health and wellness. Because we're like out there fishing in a pond where people are real like living with toxic stuff. So we're like bringing people into this awareness that like what's in their laundry room under their sink is really freaking dangerous. Like, don't breathe the stuff in, don't wear the stuff. And then from there, we introduce our community to leaders like you. Point being is, so I get asked, where do I start? And I tell people all the time, like, hey, before you replace your laundry room with our product, if you're on a budget and you're like overwhelmed and you're like, I need to like, to use your terminology, make a base hit. I love when you say that, one hit at a time. Like, where do I start? And I tell, whatever you put first, deal with the things that go in your body. So your food, supplementation, nutrition, thoughts, words, like whatever you put into yourself, deal with that stuff, like clean up that stuff first. Then deal with the stuff that goes on your body, right? So like cosmetics, skincare, and yes, laundry products, things that go on your body. And then take care of the things that are in your environment, like things that are around you. Because it's way easier to control what's at the end of your fork than what you're breathing at the supermarket. Like you can't control that, but as much as you can control what you stick in your face. So over the years, you know, we've been really dedicated to the things that are on your body and things that are around your body, but we've never really ventured into the things that go in your body. And the reason being is I've never felt like I've been called to create a supplement company or nutritional supplement, nutraceuticals. I have my own garden, but I don't sell food. So like I've never been able to impact the marketplace until we invented this product called Fruit and Veggie Wash. It's not a very catchy name. We keep all of our names really simple because they're all simple. And here's the problem is that majority of pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, it's all these these killing agents are sprayed. Mostly are sprayed. Very few are actually drip through irrigation, come up through the roots. A lot of these things are topical. And the reason they're topical is because farmers want to rid pests and worms and all this, the funguses and whatever those things that they're trying to kill so that they have a yield in a crop are typically very topical in nature. So they're constantly spraying and misting their crops. So a lot of, you know, the waxes, all this stuff lives on the outside of the vegetable. Now, there's clearly residual chemicals that wind up in the flesh, in the food, but the majority of all of these pesticides and these fungicides live on the outside of the produce. So we said, hey, what can we do about that? Because we did a lot of research, we did a lot of studies, and we found that if you rinse your produce, your broccoli, grapes, I got strawberries, I just picked some stuff up in the local market. These products here that, although majority live, these chemicals live on the outside, that if you rinse them under your sink, like it removes maybe 1 to 8% topical chemicals. So it's barely nothing. So I wonder why it's so little. Well, think about it. You have produce that's sitting in a farm that's getting rained on, that's being irrigated. So these chemicals are designed to shed and repel water, because if they didn't, then if it rained, the farmer would have to respray all over again. So these chemicals have these coatings and these oil-based coatings in order to have them repel water. Okay.
Yeah, it's
So-
like it's like a frying pan after you've cooked. If there's a bunch of oil in it, if you just pour water in there, the oil is still on the pan.
And it doesn't go anywhere, right?
Right.
So the next thing that people say, oh, well, so rinsing with water is basically useless. You'll get off like dirt, which you should probably be eating more dirt, right? But take that away, right?
Healthy dirt, yeah.
Healthy soil that has a microbiome to it. It's healthy soil. We should be taking a spoonful of that. And that's good stuff. I digress. So people say, oh, well, I wash my vegetables in vinegar, or I do baking soda, or I do a baking soda vinegar mix. There's lots of people that talk about like rinsing, soaking your vegetables in, white vinegar or baking soda or a combination thereof. And that is effective. It gets about 40% of topical waxes, pesticides, herbicides off vegetables. So it makes a solid dent, right?
Mhm.
What's not good enough? So we really went on a quest, and literally we have the data to show that our product now removes 99% more topical waxes, pesticides, herbs, fungicides than rinsing underwater alone. So it's like super effective. So it has like a cleaning agent. We use grapefruit seed oil, so it has like some really good, and all of our ingredients, by the way, certified USDA organic. So like these are literally safe, non-toxic cleaning chemicals that do remove a super majority of topical chemicals. And I'm going to demonstrate it to you. You're going to see it before your eyes. Really like crazy what we invented here. And that's why it's so important, because what we're put in our body, if we can, again, just remove some topical stuff, right, from our produce, that's just less stuff that's coming into our bodies.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. I'd like to say, for people, because there's different degrees of dealing with your health and health issues. Like you said, with rinsing off vegetables, you start with water. There's, how fanatical do you want to get on this stuff, right? So the first thing that's important is that we have to drink enough water. Well, I can't afford a water filter, so I drink Coke. No, your tap water is healthier for you than Coke. Well, but I hear there's chlorine. That's right, there is, and that's not great, but it's less toxic in terms of the degree of toxicity in your body. Your tap water is better than soda pop, and just in general. Now take it to the next degree. You get a little stand-up water filter that'll sit on the counter, and a Brita. You pour water in there and it drips through, and you've got a pitcher now that has some filtration to it. The next degree of depth would be getting a water filtration system under your sink. And there's a little faucet that comes out through the base of the sink, and that water is filtered much more thoroughly. The next degree is to get a whole house water filtration system, so that you're dealing with the water you brush your teeth with, the water that you shower, all of it, the toilet water. You aren't drinking the toilet water, but you've heard me say before, put the toilet seat down, because if it's left up, the chlorine and so many other gases in the water outgas into the air in the bathroom, and you're breathing that. So toilet seat's always down. Unless you have a whole house water filtration system, then you don't have to worry about it. So there's different degrees of dealing with water. That's first on the list. The second on the list after water is eat the rainbow diet. That's the next thing on the list. First is water, because you got to have detox. You got to flush the crud out as best as you can. But then it's the rainbow diet. And that means multicolored vegetables and fruits at every meal. So the first thing is to choose multicolored. But then you go deeper, it needs to be farm raised is better than commercial. But then you go deeper, it's organic. But then you go deeper, it's biodynamic, right? So there's different levels that you can go to. So what we're looking at here with this product that Stephen's going to talk to us some more about is, if you're at the first level and you can't afford organic, or it's not available where you live, this is going to make that food in the rainbow diet so much healthier for you, less toxic, less threatening, less inflammatory. So I just wanted to put in perspective for people, right? So that we can appreciate that by using these products, you're taking it down almost to biodynamic level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, again, it's better, you need nutrition. It's better to eat a non-organic strawberry, which is on the Dirty Dozen, than
Right.
it is to eat a cheeseburger from a fast food restaurant, right? I mean, even people, oh, well, strawberries are full of chemicals. Yeah, but it's still way healthier for you than eating some greasy, trans fat nonsense.
Absolutely.
gonna,
Stephen, we've got some questions that have already come in.
Yeah.
So the first one from Liz is it safe to use fruit and vegetables wash in fruit with a thin peel?
Yeah. I mean, so literally I'm going to show you, like, this is a strawberry from my local farmer's market, grapes, broccoli. Yeah, this is safe on all fruits and veggies. It's clean rinsing. It doesn't leave a residue. It's literally, we've engineered it to remove residues and rinse away. So yeah, it's safe on any produce, leafy greens, 100%.
Okay, so, and I don't imagine that you would advocate using it as a toothpaste. So, don't spray it in your mouth. But if there's some residue on the plant, on the strawberry or something, what's the effect? Now you've got it. And I asked that specific question.
Is there a better demonstration than I just sprayed it in my mouth?
I asked that specific question wondering what you would do, because I saw an interview with a scientist from Monsanto talking about the benefits of Roundup. And he said, the stuff is so safe you could drink it. And the interviewer said, well, sir, since you mentioned that, I happen to have a gallon of Roundup here. And he pulled it up and he had a glass. He said, may I pour you some so you can demonstrate it? And the guy stood up and said, this interview is over. And he walked off, right? But now we have the CEO of the company, he just sprayed the stuff in his mouth.
Yeah.
So,
and my beard too, if you didn't notice. I got some.
No, I didn't see that.
I got some on my beard, yeah, that's fine.
Next question. Nowadays, they say that you need an emulsifier like soap because of C19. That doesn't work well with lettuce.
Well, so the cleaning agent, so here's, I'm going to get a little nerdy. I'm going to get a little nerdy on why we have a wetting agent, a soap agent in the product. And that's because, again, if you remember, we said, hey, if you just add a water-based agent only, like vinegar or baking soda to produce, you're leaving, like, a lot of these chemicals, which are oil-based chemicals, repel water. So there's a basic and kind of cleaning technology is that oils attract oils, and oils lower surface tension. So if we back up to our ancestors, when they made soap, somebody shot a bear, they harvested a whale, like they got natural fats, then they went to the fire and they grabbed a scoop of ashes, which is a very caustic material. They added the fat, rendered the fat with soda ash or the ash from a fire, and then they boiled that, and then that would saponify and create soap. So that oil now became soap. Well, we need some type of a wetting, some type of a soap agent in the product in order to lower the surface tension of the chemicals, of the waxes, of these sides that are coating the vegetables in order to disperse them and rinse them away. So that's why we use that. So there's a lot of research, I get it, but we did a lot of research on it too. And here's it's like the lesser of many evils. Like, again, if you had your choice of drinking, reverse osmosis water with minerals re-added to it, and you had like a $20,000 home water filtration system, or tap water, drink tap water. To use, Dr. Tom's example. In the same example in food, if you don't want to use anything to clean your vegetables, then grow a victory garden, know exactly what is in every single square inch of your food, and grow it and go from backyard to table, and then you don't need anything. Like, so we want to live in a vacuum and be in a utopia. That's the best scenario. And I do have a great garden, and I do grow a lot of our own food. But how do we, kind of reverse that back and help as many people as possible? So that's a great question. Hopefully I didn't nerd out too much, but that's why we have.
No, a little bit, but not too much. It was great.
Okay.
Wanda asks, can this be used on porous fruits such as strawberries without changing the taste?
I'll eat it in front of you, but you can't taste. I mean, if you were here, we can do a taste test. So yeah, it's strawberry season in northern Michigan. So these were local. They are not organic. Almost no farmers where we live up here grow organically. We live in a really tough environment. We don't have long growing seasons. So, I mean, the cherry, we live in the cherry capital of the world. So there's a lot of cherry orchards. I'm surrounded by cherries and apples all around where we live. And almost everybody sprays. So we constantly rinse our vegetables because of that.
Yeah. Sean mentioned the Produce Wash site is broken and the number isn't accepting calls. Yeah.
Hold that thought. One of my member experience agents is sitting right over here. Dakota, can you please, we're going on the fly here.
Right.
Come on over, say hello to everybody. This is Dakota. He's one of our 11 member experience agents.
Hi, Dakota.
Dakota is going to stop everything he's doing right now, and you're going to reach out to the team and figure out why stuff is not working and calls are not coming in. Okay, Dakota's on it. There you go. We're doing this live.
Great. That's it for the questions at the moment.
Sweet. So I'm going to do a little demonstration, and we're going to see like before and afters, and I'm going to give some helpful how-tos how to use this product, or even if you're doing stuff at home. So again, this is our fruit and veggie wash. It's non-toxic. I just sprayed it in my mouth. So broccoli is a vegetable that specifically is notorious for having waxes and a coating on them because it's such a fragile vegetable. And that's why the boxes are usually loaded with ice, and at they're constantly misting it because broccoli is very delicate. So even lots of organic broccoli, right? Because now there are USDA certified organic waxes that are coating lots of these big agriculture broccoli. So I'll kind of like go to the screen here, and you can see like that broccoli has a little bit of a white haze on it. I've got two of it here, but I've got one of my farmer's pocket knife, and I'm going to cut this one in half right in front of you. So again, no slide of eye here. I'm going to break this one in half. Okay. I'm going to put this one right there so you can see it on the camera. And I'm going to take this guy and I'm just going to spray this thing down.
And that's the way that we would use this when we come home from shopping and we're taking our vegetables out of the bag. You just spray them right away. Is that right?
You just spray them, or you can actually take one of the refills, and it will make about 2 gallons of water. So if you, or a high concentration, like a gallon of water. So if you wanted to like get like a big bowl at home with a gallon full of water, you could take one of the refills. Cause like our whole model is refillable, right? You get like an empty laundry jug, you get everything is refillable. So you get this bottle once, and then you get these refills. You add water to the line, fill it up, shake it up, and you're good. And this is the last kind of produce bottle, spray bottle you ever need. So you can actually
Stephen, let me stay with that because some people may not, that may have been a little quick for them. One of the great features about MyGreenFills, the company, everything you order from them, if it's the first time, they send you the bottle, the spray bottle, or the dishwashing detergent bottle, or the laundry detergent jug thing. And then when you want refills, they send you that plastic bag, which is a biodegradable plastic, and you just pour it, you pour it in there in the empty container and add water to it. And so you're not throwing away jugs. And you must know, how many plastic jugs have you saved the planet from, Stephen, in the last 4 years?
In the last 4 years, to the best of our math, it's somewhere around 2.8 million pieces of plastic from ever being produced so far.
Yeah, way to go, man. High five to you on that.
Man, I'll give you a hug when I see you. Listen, I'm not scared of you. I'm still hugging.
Yeah, I'm with you.
The way you started this talk. All right, so listen, refill. Here's like a gallon of water in this bowl right here. If you just add a refill to this thing, and let's just say you're going to like your big box store, you're buying a bunch of produce, you now can use this soak. By the way, so again, this is the one I sprayed. I'll just kind of again, spray this one, hit that, and I'll just, this is a clean water and a rinse. I put a towel on my keyboard because I would hate to like fry my computer while we're doing this right now.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm gonna, this is the one we cut a second ago. Look at the difference in the two.
Wow.
So
just
like
right away.
Like
Wow.
side by side, you could see how bright and vibrant this piece of broccoli is versus this one side by side. It's from the same broccoli.
Wow.
I'll take another one. So this is another head of broccoli right here. And I'm literally just going to half submerge it in this one. And this is the one where I put the refill in the bottle here.
Look at the difference in the depth of the green.
So
Yeah.
this is just one, right? So again, I could take, if you could see like grapes naturally form their own yeast, right? So again, ancient biblical days, you made wine by just crushing them and sticking them in a vat because the natural yeast and the sugars create its own fermentation. In the winemaking industry, people add a lot of chemicals and a lot of other yeast and sulfites, etc. But so grapes are notorious for absorbing pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, because they already have this yeast, kind of naturally forming yeast coating on a grape.
Yeah.
But when they spray these things, it's kind of like it sucks and soaks up all those chemicals. So yeah, I'll just take this one here, again, half submerge it, spray the bottom, and you can just, again, half soak that. And I'm trying not to fry my computer here, but you can literally see the difference in the grapes. The top were not touched, the bottoms were.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like grapes, again, like I'm going to literally take this beautiful local strawberry that's probably has, God only knows what chemical on it. I'm going to dip it straight into the one where the soak is, rinse it, and happy days. So, hope you don't mind me eating in front of you, Tommy.
There's a question from Audrey. What is the difference in ingredients between your product and others in stores?
Well, there's a lot of company cool stuff out there. I've always had like this thing in my creed where, you know, I'll say it this way. The United States Secret Service, who's in charge of managing our currency, right? And is charge of, if somebody's a counterfeiter, it's not the FBI or the CIA, like it's the Secret Service that chases down counterfeiters. And the way that the CIA, that the Secret Service, their counterfeit, anti-counterfeit, you know, department works is that people do not, what you say, hey, how would you find a counterfeit? Well, you study all the counterfeits. Now, no, they don't. They just literally study the original. They stay in their lane and they study the original over and over again so that if a counterfeit comes, they trace it. So I use that analogy in our company a lot because I don't go chasing other people down to see what other people are doing a whole lot. There are a lot of great companies out there. Hey, there's a lot of great companies out there that have literally built entire big businesses by modeling our idea of refillable cleaning products.
Yeah.
So I don't really know all the ingredients in everybody else's product. I have a busy enough time trying to create our own. So I don't know. I hope that's a good answer.
You know, I'll say that for me, what sold me on MyGreenFills originally was the refillable aspect of it and just saving plastic, saving the amount of containers that I'm using in my household and encouraging others to do the same to save the planet, you know, just to reduce the amount of plastic containers we're using. As I started using this stuff, I find it works. It's easy. And, you know, and you're my friend. I'm not going, and so easy just to like reorder online. Boom, it's done in a couple of days. I've got it. You know, so there's probably great products in the store that would be just as good, perhaps, as some of these products. So if you're going to use that, use that. Great, great. You know, there's no reason why not. Here's a question from Satprem Kaur-Khalsa. Satprem Kaur-Khalsa.
Hi, Satprem.
Hello and thank you. How long can you keep the 1 gallon of diluted cleaner and how long can you use it for the produce? Can one continually dunk produce in the same gallon or is it just meant to be sprayed on produce? The dunking would seem to contaminate the gallon of cleaner after 1 or 2 uses. A bit confusing.
Yeah, I mean, you can use it. We're actually in the process of making a different concentration refill and using like a laundry jug format where you add your refills, you make the jug, and you add a capful to to like a gallon of water. That's like in the development pipeline. We have like 7 new products that are going to be released in the next couple months here, and that's one of them that are kind of in the pipeline. But I personally like soaking way, because again, I have 5 children. There's 7 mouths to feed in the Ezell homestead, so we like Costco is our friend. Like we buy a lot of food because we like it's cheaper to clothe my children is to feed them, and so soaking is really way more convenient than spraying for us because we're buying large volumes of food. Like we don't just buy like this would be like a snack. Like we buy like a flat of strawberries at our house and so forth. So since we buy more food, I take a refill, you know, or 2. If I fill up our sink, like we have a farm sink, I'll throw 2 refills in a big farm sink, and literally everything that comes from Costco at the grocery store, at the farmer's market, literally gets dumped, it gets floated, and then it gets rinsed, and then whatever we do to prepare the food, store the food. So we use it that way, but you can absolutely spray. It's
so
really
in terms of his question, if I'm using a 5-gallon bucket, you know, and I put a refill in there and fill it up and I'm dunking, when how long will that bucket of water be effective to dunk other vegetables?
It will be effective for as long as you want it to. Clearly, over time, the more you use it, the more. I mean, if you know, I wish I would have took a, but this you can see how kind of cloudy this is becoming, and the more you put in a clear bowl, use the fruit and veggie wash, you'll see that the water will continue to get more cloudy, and that's like all of those chemicals and waxes being rinsed off the food. So really, we actually haven't done like a long-term stability test on like how long the soak would last. Our recommendation is, you know, use it and rinse it out and start over again. At least we know the effectiveness of it. There's a thing of, you know, soil redeposition that we deal with in laundry and dishwashing, as well as in every category, where, you know, the job of this chemistry, right, is to get stuff off. The job of this laundry chemistry, or, you know, this glass cleaner, is to get stuff off. But it's also the job of the product to make sure that stuff doesn't get redeposited someplace else. So a laundry stain doesn't show up someplace else, or pesticides don't get redeposited on something else. So my recommendation is, if you're using small batches, you're only doing a few things at a time. Like if I only was doing this, I would spray and I wouldn't use a whole refill to soak this. I would spray and rinse and be done. And it'll last a whole lot longer than soaking. So it really depends on your use case.
Okay. Barbie asks, do you have a month or some kind of monthly purchase?
Yeah, so MyGreenFills.com is really, it's a membership pretty much only site. We just started allowing kind of like e-commerce purchases, but like for right now, you can get a great deal by being part of Dr. Tom's tribe. You can save over 60% right now on fruit and veggie wash. We're running a promotion specifically for Dr. Tom's fans and followers. So yes, you can, and then once you create an account, you can set these things on auto subscribe and save monthly, every 2 months, every 3 months. We have bundles and deals as a member that you can save a ton of money on, you know, off of MSRP, that we don't list on our site because we only list them to members only in the membership site. So yes, we absolutely do subscribe and save.
Kiki said, I have the same issue with checkout, offering other products that I actually want to order, but it won't allow me to order them. If I start over, new offer is given.
Dakota, let's figure this out, man. Dakota's on. He's messaged Alex and a few members of the team here, so we are on it.
Great. And Kiki,
and if you just want to make a comment, like message us or DM me or one of my team members on this Facebook Live, we'll follow up with you with a private message to make sure that you're personally taken care of.
Yeah, so anyone that has a problem,
To do tonight.
anyone that has a problem, just post it here, you know, with your name, and then they're able to respond to you, and they'll make sure it works for everybody. Great. A couple of shout outs. Christine says, hello from the UK. Lovely to hear about the news. How is Costa Rica to live? It's paradise. We're really happy to be here right now. And Connie says hello from Texas. Adalia from Florida. Catriona is in Chowchilla, California. I've never heard of Chowchilla. Tracy's here from South Carolina. Dixie's in Sioux City. Barbie says Neptune, the immune, and in Pisces and 6H may have allergies and reactions to toxins. I have no idea what you're talking about on that one. So sorry, Barbie, I can't respond to that. Jackie says, I love the products. I get almost all of them. Mia says hello from North Wales. Can they order overseas? Do you ship overseas?
We do. So through the site, we ship through the site to US and Canada. But if you private message us, let us know where that doctor referred you over. One of my service team members will create a specific invoice, track down how much it would cost to ship it, and we'll ship anywhere in the world.
Great. Dorada says, me too. These are just great products. Thanks, Dorada. Liz Kennedy's hello from the UK. Cindy's in Pennsylvania. Another Cindy says, yeah, especially on cucumbers. So she's talking about using on cucumbers. You bet.
A lot of waxes on cucumbers too.
Barbie says, I love to clean my veggies in a healthy, holistic way so that I'm still receiving the microbes that help my body. Amen to that. Amen to that. Liz says, hello, Dr. Tom. Is it safe to use fruit and vegetable wash in fruit within? Okay, we did that one, but it popped up again. Okay. Sherry's in Nebraska, and the list goes on. Paula's in Alaska. Great to see you here, Paula. Thank you. Barbie says, I use Veggie Wash and can say the taste of veggies and fruit is dull. Okay, so she's using some other product, and she says it's dulling the taste. Stephen is saying there's no impact here on taste whatsoever.
I'm actually a former chef. I don't know if you knew that, Tom, but I built restaurants back in the day before I kind of had my chemical aha moment and started MyGreenFills. I was actually a chef. I built 50 restaurants in Manhattan. So I was a strawberry.
Oh, great. Leslie asks, is this available in the UK? Yes, Leslie, as Stephen mentioned, if you send a message to them that you were here on this podcast, and they'll find out what the mail and the shipping would be for whatever you want. Sean says, after entering all info and clicking, the next page is all upsells that you cannot get beyond. Okay. So they'll work on it, Sean. They'll get that figured out. Audrey asks, what's the difference in ingredients? Okay, well, we did that. It was pasted before. Let's see. The page only blinks when clicking on the no thanks links. Okay. Sean, you're having a problem here, man. Thanks for sticking in there with it, and we'll get it figured out.
Man, I'm
sure
sorry.
Stephen will figure it out.
Ideally, we don't run into tech issues often, but when we do, we call Dakota. So we're on.
All right, Dakota. Kiki says, thanks, Stephen. Looking forward to getting the spray. Just had to peel organic purple turnips like Dr. Tom told me to eat because couldn't trust the skin to be clean. And that's great, Kiki. That's the way to be thinking about this, folks. You go one step deeper every time. You just learn a little more. And okay, how can I tweak this a little more to make things healthier for me and safer for me? Satprem says, Satprem here, and it's Satprem Karakalsa. And she said, you did great with my name, and thank you for the product. I look forward to trying it. I actually lived in a 3HO ashram in 1972. My hair was down to here, and it was a different world back then.
Did you really?
Yeah, let's hear it for Ann Arbor. I loved Ann Arbor, man. It was paradise in the Midwest. Barbie says, Mercury's in retrograde. That may be the tech problem, laughing out loud. Okay, Barbie, thanks so much. That's it on the questions so far. Great. So you talk about If you're going to can things, if you're canning vegetables, so you can be doing a lot of pickles or a lot of cucumbers or a lot of tomatoes. That's when you would use, is there a dosing for the refill container, like in a gallon bucket or half a refill container in a gallon bucket? What do you recommend for that?
Yeah, so spraying that, like each refill is set to make one bottle ready to spray, ready to use. And we recommend using one of these refills to make 1 gallon of 1 gallon, like a gallon of soak like this is using one refill.
Yeah.
And that's currently our current recommendations, but we realize it gets a little pricey to do that. That's why I recommend, like, if you're going to do a soak, do lots of vegetables and just, you know, do your big shopping and do it that way. And again, we're working on a format and a formulation to put in like a jug like this, where you just put a capsule and so forth.
And the question that comes up for me on that, if you're going to do a soak, like a gallon or 5 gallon bucket or something like that, how do you know when there's too much toxic crud in there and you're losing effectiveness? Do you do the half a broccoli dip and then compare it to the other half? Is that?
I mean, that's a great way to do it. Again, like for those who just came on right now, we did, you know, half a I'll take this one. This is brand new, you know, right from the store, broccoli. You could see, like, look at the top versus the bottom. The bottom was
Come
rinsed.
closer, come a little bit closer.
Trying not to fry my computer.
Oh yeah. You see the difference in the color between the right and left side.
Yeah. So with that, broccoli is a really good one. You could blueberries, grapes, anything that has cucumbers. They have like these waxy kind of like white films on the outside and you could see them. The dark, you know, kale is notorious for having kind of like that white haze on it. So you can see when you just dunk some of like those types of vegetables, how effective it is. And then once you've got that dialed in, you can just go to work.
Yeah. You know, I'm putting together a presentation I do a coffee with Dr.Tom every couple of Monday mornings at.
I watch them all the time.
Well, I'm putting one together for next week about PCBs and how PCBs on your fruit and vegetables cause intestinal permeability.
Wow.
And so you got to get this crap off of your vegetables. And, you know, when people talk about, but, you know, it's expensive to have to wash my vegetables and fruit. I understand. So until you can find a source for organic produce, the best is to find an organic farm. You know, and there's these communities where you pay so much for a year and you get a box every week of organic vegetables, whatever they harvested that week. That's probably the safest source of food if you can't create your own food, is to know the farm. And it takes a little work to find such a place, but in the meantime, this wash can be a game changer in terms of the amount of toxic chemicals you're being exposed to.
And that's why we created it. We want, you know, we're on a mission here to help people, and it's just one base hit at a time.
Nancy says, if veggies or fruits, if left veggies or fruits in water, does less junk come off? So if they leave the veggies or fruits in the water, does less junk come off of them?
Well, if we're referring to like what I mentioned earlier, so our studies show that if you rinse your produce, broccoli, etc., in under the water in the sink, or soak them for a short period of time, it removes somewhere between 8 and 12% of topical pesticides, herbicides, fungicides from the lab testing that we did. And then if you do like a soak with vinegar, white vinegar and or baking soda or combination thereof, it removes about 40%, like a pretty good dent of 40 to 50% of the topical pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, wax, etc. And our studies show removes 99% more than water alone. So literally in the high 90 percentile of topical waxes, pesticides, herbicides are saponified and rinsed away with the product.
That's really marvelous. Congratulations, my friend. That's really good. That's a score. That's a big score. Nancy was asking about where do I find the first My Green Refills Facebook Live, and the team says if you type in the Facebook, go to Facebook and type the Dr.com MyGreenFills in the search bar. It's in April, around the end of April last year. So you'll find it there where we're talking about some of the other products. Okay, that's it on the questions so far that have come in.
Awesome.
How's your family, man?
Family is good. We're so blessed, even in the midst of this crazy pandemic and, human experiment, whatever we're living through right now. Our family's blessed. My wife is great. My 5 kids are healthy. I had multiple family members in New York City, where I'm from, diagnosed with COVID. And I was kind of like, I was the family drug dealer, because there was literally, they couldn't get anything in New York City. So I was going to our local health food store, loading up on supplements and all these really great things, lots of things that, I've heard you talk about and a lot of our friends. And I was sending supplements and, all natural remedies to my family in New York City, and every one of them overcame it very quickly. So we're very blessed that it didn't escalate. But the family's good, and it's summer in northern Michigan. We have 2 seasons here. We have winter and 4th of July. So we're kind of coming into our second season now. It's beautiful, and I took my first dunk in Lake Michigan last night. We live right on Lake Michigan. My front porch leads right to the big lake.
Oh,
it's still pretty chilly, but I did the Wim Hof breathing last night. Jumped in.
That's right. Right. Whether intentional or not. Right.
Yeah.
My experience, the most beautiful sunsets in the world are on Lake Michigan. There is nothing like them. And, I've been privileged to see many different places, but not like Lake Michigan. They're the very best. And I'm very grateful. I also am grateful. And so for everyone out there, as we wrap this one up, last week I made the announcement, and Marzi just kind of smacked me afterwards that I did it without telling her ahead of time. But Stephen, I don't know if you know, we're expecting our first child.
No, I didn't. Oh my goodness, man! Seriously?
Yes, we are.
Oh my goodness! Praise God! That is so awesome.
That's great. That's really great. Everything's great. We wanted to wait until the 3-month exam, because people don't know this, but Marzi and I were pregnant at Christmas, and we lost the pregnancy in late January and early February. And it turned out it's what's called a blighted ovum, which means that when sperm fertilizes an egg, as it starts to develop, it splits from 2 cells into 4 cells into 16 cells. As it starts to develop, the message to the surrounding tissue, the uterus, says, pregnancy's here, and the uterus starts developing, but the fertilized ovum does not develop. So that happened to us about 6-8 weeks after a positive pregnancy test, and we were devastated. We were really devastated.
I wish I didn't know what that was like. Number one, doctors told us we couldn't have kids. Number one, we have 5, and we do have 2 children in heaven right now. So I know exactly what that's like. But I am overjoyed that there is a baby O'Brien on the way.
Oh, thank you so much. And we're Marzi and I are going to do a Facebook Live about this, because what I learned is that most women have the experience of a blighted ovum, and they don't know that they were pregnant. Marzi was checking regularly because, she was really looking forward to it. We were trying. And so we identified it early, but most women think they've just missed a cycle, or the cycle is late, and then the next one comes in, it's really heavy. Well, that actually was the miscarriage. that it's extremely common. I mean, one study I read was over 70% of women in the US have this happen to them. And nobody talks about it. So we will be talking about it so that it's not something that's in the closet and people understand and hopefully can take some preventive actions in the future. But in any event, we're blessed, we're grateful, we're happy. And for all of you out there, as we're wrapping this one up today, please think about what are 3 things that you're grateful for in your life? 3 things. If you want to declare it here in the chat, please do. It makes it more real in the world, you know, or in the Facebook Live, you know, in the chat room there. It makes it more real for you. You're very welcome to. We'd love to read them and support you and hold that space for you. And if you don't want to be that exposed, then just speak the words to yourself. You know, talk to yourself for a moment. Oh, I'm really grateful that my daughter's doing well right now. You know, whatever it should be, but just speak it out. Don't keep it just in your head. So like with food, there's different levels. So the first level is to think of 3 things you're grateful for. That's really great. The second level is to voice 3 things that you're grateful for. It makes it a little more real. The third level is to write about 3 things that you're grateful for, right? So make it real in your life. And until next week, well, Stephen, thank you so much, my friend. It's like you're a brother, you know, a brother from another mother, and it's really great to be together. And thank you so much. And everyone, please try these products. You'll be happy you did. And we will see you next week. Thanks so very much.
All right, bless you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.